Hello, loyal Celtic supporters. It's time to dive into what's been a roller coaster start for our beloved team. And I'll be honest, the mood at the moment is a mix of frustration and disbelief. Heading into the match against Dundee United, you'd have been hard-pressed to find many fans feeling genuinely confident. Even though the first half offered some hope, it wasn't exactly commanding. But there were glimpses of fight in the squad. The lads were quick to second balls, trying to create openings, and for brief moments it felt like we might be able to turn things around. Looking back, it seems almost unbelievable that we weren't already 2 or 3 goals up at half-time, considering the chances we carved out. There was a sense, fleeting as it was, that perhaps the team was beginning to find a rhythm, but unfortunately, that was where the positive narrative ended. As the second half began, everything changed. Dundee United seemed to have closed down the spaces we'd been finding in midfield, and Celtic appeared to have no response. The tactical adjustments that would have been expected simply weren't there. Normally, when a team loses momentum, a manager tweaks positioning, alters runs, maybe pushes a deeper midfielder slightly further forward, anything to disrupt the opponent's rhythm, but nothing came. It was as though we were standing still while United imposed themselves. And soon enough, we found ourselves under relentless pressure. It wasn't 3 minutes here or there that lost us the game. It was an entire 45-minute spell in which we were second best and never really competed until it was far too late. That lack of reaction, that inability to respond to a team that had figured us out, has been a glaring issue. One of the most concerning aspects for me is the perception of our manager's approach. His post-match comments suggest he believes in the squad, he sees promising signs, and he speaks at length about dealing with adversity, yet watching the players on the pitch tells a very different story. Under previous management, even a squad with its limitations would fight, claw back, and find ways to overcome challenges, whether it was coming from behind or dealing with pressure in a cup semi-final. The team showed resilience. Today, however, once Dundee United scored their second goal, it felt over, and not just momentarily. There was no fight, no pushback, no sign that we could alter the course of the game. We created chances, yes, but they were squandered. Opportunities that should have been converted were missed, and the team's confidence clearly evaporated in the process. Even the individual moments are telling. Dyson's header late in the game, Yamada's glaringly simple chance that went wide, Johnny Kenny's run early in the first half where the outcome seemed all too predictable. These weren't mere mistakes. They were symptoms of a squad that lacks composure in front of goal, a team that struggles to take advantage of the rare openings it creates. Defensively, the issues compound. Set pieces continue to haunt us. Mistakes at crucial moments pile up, and the opposition capitalizes with unnerving consistency. When you combine this with a manager who appears unwilling or unable to make timely tactical adjustments, you have a recipe for ongoing disappointment. There's also the broader concern about the culture and confidence within the squad. Reports suggesting a disconnect between key players, such as Callum McGregor, and the manager hinted deeper issues. In the past, under leaders like Ange Postecoglou or Brendan Rodgers, McGregor was fully integrated, a figure that the squad looked to and trusted implicitly. If that link of belief and respect is broken, it doesn't matter how many tactical changes you make or how much you try to revisit strategies that worked under previous regimes. The players won't buy into it. Football at Celtic is not just about strategy, it's about unity, belief, and leadership. Without that, even a well-conceived plan fails before it's properly executed. Looking at the squad itself, injuries and player turnover have undeniably impacted performance. The absence of key personnel has forced adjustments and reduced depth, while some players appear to be nearing the end of their tenure at the club. This creates a delicate balance where the manager must integrate new faces while maintaining structure, and yet tonight's starting 11 seemed less physically imposing than previous matches. 2 6-foot-plus players were omitted, affecting aerial presence and set-piece defense, both areas we've struggled with repeatedly. A smaller, less dominant team in these key moments only exacerbates weaknesses and makes it harder to assert control during critical phases of play. And then there's the relentless pressure from results. 4 defeats in a row at Celtic, regardless of how new a manager is simply unacceptable. Even allowing for mitigating circumstances like injuries or squad rotation, the lack of adjustment and the stubborn adherence to principles that clearly aren't working are alarming. Fans are rightly frustrated, angered even, particularly those who made the effort to travel in cold, difficult conditions only to witness another defeat. The support hasn't waned entirely, but the patience is running thin. People are questioning whether the club will act proactively to salvage the season or whether we'll continue down a path that seems increasingly detrimental to both team morale and league ambitions. It's worth noting that the early hope we had in the first half, when the team was creating genuine chances and pressing Dundee United, almost made you believe that a turnaround was possible, that fleeting sense that perhaps the manager's methods were starting to take effect, that the players were finally responding to his ideas, or was crushed in the second half. The inability to adjust to opposition tactics, the failure to maintain intensity, and the continued mishandling of key moments all contribute to a growing sense that the manager may not have the experience or tactical awareness necessary to navigate the challenges Celtic face. This raises serious concerns not just for the present, but for the remainder of the season, particularly if confidence within the squad continues to erode and the core players remain unconvinced by the leadership above them. Picking up from where we left off, it's impossible to ignore just how fragile this Celtic side seems right now. The early optimism we felt when the team started pressing and moving the ball well against Dundee United quickly evaporated, leaving us with the stark reality of a squad that struggles to adapt. We've seen moments of promise, brief glimpses that suggest potential, but the consistency simply isn't there. The first half showed some structure, some willingness to challenge, but as soon as the opposition adjusted, we were left flat-footed, lacking any meaningful response. The contrast between the two halves was jarring, almost shocking, especially considering the standards expected at Celtic Park. The players seemed hesitant, uncertain, and that uncertainty grows exponentially when it's compounded by a manager who either doesn't recognize the problems or refuses to adjust. What's particularly troubling is the psychological aspect of this team at the moment. Football is as much a mental game as it is physical, and the confidence that should carry players through tight situations appears absent. Even when clear opportunities are presented, the composure to finish is missing. That striker who should slot the ball away from 3 yards out doesn't. The header that looks certain somehow goes wide. The chance that could change the game simply vanishes into nothing. It's not just a lack of skill or sharpness, it's a lack of belief, a reflection of the players' mindset under the current regime. They no longer trust themselves fully, and perhaps more worryingly, they don't seem to trust the guidance they're being given from the dugout. There's also the tactical rigidity that's becoming painfully obvious. Celtic, under previous managers, could adapt mid-game, respond to pressure, and shift the balance when needed. Right now, the team is like a chess player who can only move the pieces one way. Regardless of what the opponent does, Dundee United came out in the second half and effectively nullified what we were doing, and there was no reaction, no innovation, no attempt to break the pattern. The manager's principles, which might have worked in theory, are now actively harming the team's chances. A rigid adherence to style over pragmatism is slowly suffocating what should be a dynamic, adaptable squad. Fans are seeing it, players are feeling it, yet there appears to be no acknowledgement from the top. And when you combine all of this with the current squad composition, it's clear why the situation is so precarious. Injuries, players nearing the end of their tenure, and a lack of depth are all contributing factors. Yet even with these limitations, the first half showed that the team could create chances and move the ball in ways that should have led to goals. It's not a total failure of personnel. It's about execution, belief, and the ability to manage a match as it evolves. Take away the injuries and the players on the cusp of leaving, and we're still left with a side that struggles to compete once the pressure rises. The signs of potential remain, but they are fleeting, inconsistent, and overshadowed by mistakes and mismanagement. Confidence, or rather the lack of it, is at the heart of the issue. When a team loses faith in its manager, everything becomes harder. Communication breaks down, instructions are ignored or second-guessed, and the natural cohesion that makes a football team greater than the sum of its parts disappears. Reports of discord between key figures like Callum McGregor and the manager only highlight the depth of the problem. McGregor, historically a figure who has embodied trust and belief under previous managers, seems disconnected now. When the link between leadership and squad faith is broken, tactical adjustments are futile because the players simply won't buy in. No matter how clever a formation or strategic tweak, the team lacks the unity and conviction needed to execute it. Looking at the upcoming fixtures, the outlook doesn't improve. Each game carries increasing pressure, and with the squad struggling mentally, the chances of reversing this downward trend seem slim. Aberdeen is next, and while they're a solid side, the real challenge is whether Celtic can summon the resilience and clarity to regain control of a match when adversity strikes. The season is teetering, and every defeat compounds the sense that the team is adrift. Fans are watching, frustrated, questioning whether the club will intervene before it's too late. Will there be a tactical recalibration, a managerial rethink, or will the season slip away while the squad continues to drift? The uncertainty is suffocating. The situation at Celtic is a reminder that football management is more than just implementing a philosophy. It's about reading the game, responding to challenges, and managing people effectively. The team has glimpses of capability, but they are fleeting, undermined by errors, poor decision-making, and an inability to adapt. The match against Dundee United epitomized this problem. Early dominance created chances, and yet the second half descended into chaos because there was no adaptation, no response, and the players seemed paralyzed under mounting pressure. That paralysis is not merely physical, it's mental and organizational. We also need to talk about set pieces because they've become an Achilles heel. Time and again, goals conceded from corners or free kicks have been decisive. The team is not competitive in these moments, struggling to mark opponents or contest aerial duels effectively. When you combine that with an inflexible approach from management and players who lack confidence, it's almost inevitable that matches will slip away from Celtic. And it's not just Dundee United. It's a pattern that has been repeated, and until it's addressed, the results are unlikely to improve. Looking further ahead, the transfer window may offer some relief. January could see squad adjustments with players rotated, loaned or sold, and new reinforcements brought in. Yet even with fresh faces, the underlying problems will persist if the managerial approach and squad confidence are not addressed. Tactical stubbornness, poor man management, and a failure to respond to adversity are systemic issues that won't be fixed by personnel changes alone. The question remains whether there is the awareness and experience at the top to recognize this and act decisively. It's a precarious moment for Celtic. Fans are growing restless, players are losing faith, and the tactical approach that might have worked in theory is failing in practice. The glimpses of quality, the moments of brilliance in the first half show what is possible, but the inability to maintain that standard, respond to opposition adjustments, and instill belief in the squad is deeply concerning. The season could slip away quickly if action isn't taken, and while there is potential in the squad, that potential is being squandered by a combination of poor decision-making, lack of adaptation, and the erosion of confidence at all levels. The pressure is mounting, and the next few games will be critical, not just for results, but for the morale, faith, and future of everyone involved at Celtic. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. Celtic have reportedly pulled off what could be considered a surprise swoop in the transfer market, with whispers swirling around the signing of JOSH DOIG to bolster their defensive options. The Scottish Premiership giants, known for their bold moves and appetite for young talent, appear to be quietly plotting a shake-up down the flanks, and Doig's name has emerged at the center of the speculation. Sources close to the club suggest that the player, who has impressed in previous campaigns with his pace and versatility, could provide a fresh dimension to Celtic's backline. While nothing has been officially confirmed, insiders hint that discussions have been progressing behind the scenes, sparking excitement among supporters eager for reinforcements. Doig, still regarded as a rising talent in British football, is seen as a player capable of contributing both defensively and in attack, a trait that has become increasingly valuable in the modern game. Fans have taken to social media to debate the potential impact of such a signing. Some argue that his arrival could finally give Celtic the depth they need on the left side, while others remain cautious, questioning whether he would adapt quickly to the demands of Scottish football. The rumour mill has only intensified speculation, with pundits weighing up how Doig's style would fit into Celtic's tactical setup and whether the club's coaching staff will utilise his overlapping runs to stretch opponents. Celtic's history of unearthing young British talent and giving them a platform to shine has added credibility to the chatter, with supporters hopeful that Doig could be the next in a line of players to make a real impact. The timing of the whispers, coinciding with Celtic's search for consistency in defence, has only fueled the belief that a deal could be on the cards. While the player himself has remained tight-lipped, his previous performances have left fans imagining how he might link up with the likes of the club's current midfield and forward stars, potentially offering a new weapon in attack. Whether this speculation will crystallize into reality remains to be seen, but for now, the notion of JOSH DOIG in a Celtic shirt has certainly captured the imagination of the Hoops faithful. Rumours like these, tinged with the promise of untapped potential and strategic shrewdness are part and parcel of the transfer season, and this particular story seems destined to linger in the conversations of Scottish football circles for some time yet. Hello, Ban. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.